group of paleontologists tries to save history. The first day of flooding the quarry.
This place is wonderful. In this city we find the imprints of moving jellyfish.
This place of world significance because so many representatives of Vend can be seen only here. Petrified Ocean. We are located in such an interesting place, which is called Novodnestrovsky Quarry. In terms of scope, in terms of the extraction of stones that are mined here, this is a full-fledged quarry. Here on the upper floors, among the sandstones, we find the fauna of the so-called Vendian period, or the Ediacaran fauna, the Ediacaran period. There is a dam, and this is our quarry. According to some rumors, it will be flooded tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. The membrane is very thin. Here is the seabed, coastal waves, in the form so-called ripples. Interestingly, this ripple is over 500 million years old, but these rocks are mostly empty.
This place is wonderful. It was at this place that rare signs were found. More rare signs? Why? Because Nemiana, a primitive jellyfish, she was motionless. These are colonies at the bottom, and in this place we find the prints of already moving jellyfish. Medusa, which was able to swim. They are called by the common name of Cyclomedusa, and it is in this place that their concentration is quite high.
An excellent diagram showing the taxonomy of cnidarians. These are animals, of which jellyfish is one of the stages. Why are we interested in cnidarians? Because the ancient jellyfish are probably the ancestors of jellyfish, and accordingly, these are their descendants. The jellyfish, Cassiopeia andromeda, is interesting, which even in its adult state does not want to swim, but simply lies up on the bottom with its tentacles and filters the water in this way, which is very reminiscent of the probable lifestyle of ancient cyclomedusas. Well, the most valuable are these two findings. This is a Cyclomedusa davidi, then another Cyclomedusa. They still need to be dissected. An important step in the processing of fossils is preparation. This means the process of separating the waste rock from the fossil. Now it's cleaned up and nicer to look at.
It looks like a Medusa stolon. The stolon of the jellyfish is the reproductive organ.
Look, here is Cyclomedusa, and here is the hole from Cyclomedusa.
Look, Dima, great find, great size.
It appears to be Cyclomedusa gigantea. Counter-reflection and positive. Valuable finding. Museum quality. First find of the day. A place of international importance, world significance, because so many representatives of Venda can only be seen here. These are Nemeans, these are Cyclomedusas, these are Palopycygnus, and a number of other animals.
Today we found another Hemiolura, quite so interesting. And again, Giganthea in a huge floating Cyclomedusa. There are chances to find something more interesting in this place.
We are seeing the first day of the quarry flooding, but this is still very little, at the very bottom. Now there is such a situation. The quarry is really flooded. Roughly speaking, these are our fruits of work. This is really bad in principle, I agree, but it was such a necessity, because according to the technical requirements, it should be like this. A year ago, everything is flooded. We managed to work, we were allowed there. Sometimes there was something like, wait, let's call the management. But we still had a permit. and we've really been working. Those who really wanted to save us did this.
Now I will show how to exfoliate layered rocks. My main tool is a geological hammer and chisel. This is done in order to separate layers with rich finds. In general, this is a very difficult job. The whole day to split samples, but if there are a lot of finds, you get pleasure from it.
Flooding does not occur as quickly as we were afraid. Here, already on the dumps, there are Nemeans. What the sample is interested in is rather large size, about 5 cm, although the Nemeans are slightly smaller. This is how clothes and shoes from the quarry look like. We are in such an interesting corner of the Novodnostrovsky quarry, where I found an important finding among the fauna of the Ediacaran period made in Ukraine. This is Charnia. Such an animal, reminiscent of modern sea feathers. Why is she interesting? Because it is so complex and structured that it is already obvious that this organism is multicellular and complex. For a long time, we did not have such findings that would unequivocally interpret that this is Charnia. And my findings, which took place in 2015. I was walking towards evening. It was already getting dark, but I saw this find from a distance. She was about this place, in all its beauty. This is an important event, very important for Ukrainian and for world political science, which deals specifically with Idiokaryat.
Today was quite interesting and eventful. Quite a lot of cyclomedusas, quite good quality, quite good in state of preservation. In principle, these are already museum exhibits.
This is a Nemean tile. It is right in the center of Kyiv, literally 500 meters from the square. And it is here that you can see the Nemeans, which are more than 500 million years old. This was brought several years ago from the Novodnostrovsky quarry by employees of the Natural Museum. We've arrived at the Institute of Geology. Let's go inside. Entrance to the university's Geological Museum. Good afternoon, Viktor Antonovich. Look, I have come to you not empty-handed with an interesting finding that I get in the Novodnostrovsky quarry. This is a finding we made 2 weeks ago, Arumbaria Banksy. This one, right? Yeah, that's the fragments. Part of my collection of Precambrian creatures. In some museums, you can see just such tiles, and I know for sure that this is a personally developed 3x4-inch format. Ancient algae Vendatenida. These are Vendating and Theracetinia. Paleoposignus cineosus is described as an animal, but let's say there is every suspicion that this is perhaps a pseudo-event that is characteristic of the first plants that came to land. Precambrian sea feathers, Pitolonoma. Well, this particular specimen is hard to diagnose. Maybe it's Charnia discus. Maybe it's Charnia, Cyclomedusa davidi, specimen having several concentric rings. This organism is already much more difficult than ordinary Nemeans, which are also nearby in the same layer. I managed to exchange with such lovers to look for fossils. For example, there is Charnia. This is a reflection of Charnia, the first Norwegian Charnia. Even those people who are not directly scientists can find valuable finds for science, store and eventually transfer to scientific institutions. Maria Rapeco is a paleo illustrator. In this case, we take a fossil and can reconstruct it based on the fossil itself.
Dimitri and I start by discussing the material, how the paleo reconstruction should look like. Then I put marks on how the general shape looks on the sheet. Then, in the graphic technique, I process the proportions. And the final stage of the sketch part will be the execution of the technique with acrylic painting, or watercolor, or other graphic technique.
Since 2021, the search for paleontological remains in the Dniester quarry has been stopped due to the fact that the layers are flooded. It is clear that many more specimens remained under the water than we were able to save. It's a pity because I wanted to find much more new, something previously unknown to science, and this haunts me. I regret that I could take more time, look for more, involve more people in the search. But now we will look for new locations. But this quarry remains such a reference for us in terms of the number of finds, of the diversity of the Ediacaran fauna that was there.